The referred verses are from Surah Al-Fiel, chapter 105, in the Quran. Here is a brief explanation of these verses. Verse 1. Have you not considered how your Lord dealt with the companions of the elephant? This verse draws attention to a historical event known as the Year of the Elephant. It refers to an incident that occurred in the city of Makkah before the birth of the Prophet Muhammad. The verse poses a rhetorical question, inviting the listener to reflect on the event and its significance. Verses 2, 3. Did he not make their plan into misguidance? And he sent against them birds in flocks, striking them with stones of hard clay. These verses describe how Allah thwarted the plan of the people who sought to attack the Kaaba in Makkah with an army led by Abraha, who had an elephant among his forces. The plans of these people were turned into misguidance, and Allah sent birds in flocks, which pelted them with stones made of hard clay, resulting in their defeat. Verse 4. And he made them like eaten straw. This verse further emphasizes the consequences of their actions. It illustrates how the enemies of Allah and their army were utterly destroyed and left as if they were chewed up scraps of eaten straw, helpless and defeated. Verse 5. This is the consequence of their transgression against the house of Allah and their hindrance of His messenger from the sacred mosque. This verse explains the reason for their downfall. The punishment they faced was a consequence of their transgression against the Kaaba, the sacred house of Allah, and their attempts to impede the Prophet Muhammad from carrying out his mission and spreading the message of Islam. These verses from Surah Al-Fiel recount a specific historical event and highlight the power and protection of Allah. They serve as a reminder of the consequences that can befall those who oppose the will of Allah and His messengers. They also carry a broader message of trust in Allah's ultimate control over all affairs and the importance of remaining steadfast in faith, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. Tell me more. Here is some additional information about Surah Al-Fiel, chapter 105, and the historical event it references. Surah Al-Fiel is one of the shorter chapters in the Quran, consisting of just 5 verses. It was revealed in Makkah during the early years of the Prophet Muhammad's mission. The surah recounts the incident known as the Year of the Elephant, which took place in Makkah. The event refers to a failed military expedition led by Abraha, the ruler of Yemen, who sought to destroy the Kaaba, the sacred sanctuary in Makkah, and divert the annual pilgrimage to a cathedral he had built in Yemen. Verse 1 of Surah Al-Fiel draws attention to the event, prompting reflection on how Allah dealt with the people who intended to attack the Kaaba. It invites contemplation about the power and wisdom of Allah in protecting His sacred place. Verses 2, 4 describe how Allah frustrated the plans of Abraha and his army. Allah sent flocks of birds, referred to as ababil in Arabic, which pelted the invaders with stones made of hard clay. The result was their defeat and destruction. The imagery of birds striking with stones illustrates the power of divine intervention and serves as a reminder of the vulnerability of human strength and plots before the might of Allah. Verse 5 explains the reason for their downfall. It highlights that their defeat was a consequence of their transgression against the sacredness of the Kaaba and their attempt to hinder the Prophet Muhammad's mission. This verse emphasizes the importance of respecting the sanctity of Allah's house and the consequences of opposing the message of His messenger. The story of the Year of the Elephant is significant in Islamic history, as it demonstrates the protection and preservation of the Kaaba, which is considered the first house of worship established for the worship of Allah. The event also symbolizes the ultimate triumph of the message of Islam over the forces of tyranny and oppression. Surah Al-Fiel serves as a reminder of Allah's power and protection, as well as the consequences that befall those who oppose His sacred places and messengers. It teaches believers to trust in Allah's divine plan, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. It also highlights the importance of maintaining the sanctity of religious sites and respecting the message of the Prophet Muhammad.